Welcome back to the Broker's Playbook podcast, everyone. My name is Bobby Puim. I'm the Director of Operations, the COO here at Broker's Playbook. And normally I'm in the background. I don't often host the show. But when we have a truly special guest, I like to hop out in front of the camera. And I've got an old friend here today that I think is just super special. So Ben Julius from Lionheart Developments. Did I get it right?
Lionheart Development, yeah.
Lionheart Development. You're the CEO. You're a longtime friend of mine. We used to work together back in the day, traveling this country, teaching people about how to invest in real estate back with an old organization called Keyspire. But welcome to the show, my man. I'm super happy to have you.
I'm so stoked to be here. Can't believe I had this circled on my calendar for several weeks now. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And you thought you were getting Simeon today, but I showed up to take over the show today, right?
You did. I don't know how to answer that question, but I was excited to talk with Simeon, but even more excited to talk with my old friend.
There you go. That was too kind of you. Thank you so much. Listen, you've been in real estate a long time now. About how long? Tell the viewership.
We started our real estate venture in 2017. So long time by years, but it's flown by, right? So we've been in it for about six years now, going on 7 years. And we've kind of scaled quite quickly, and really all through the power of leverage and not kind of settling for the status quo and moving forward and growing to a massive development company. I wouldn't say massive in my terms, but a development company that has right now close to $300 million under management.
It's incredible, my man. I know that when we were traveling together back in, we're going to call it 2017, 18, 19.
Yeah, 18, 19, yeah.
Something like that. Like it almost felt like we were just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
Like we barely had anything at all. And even then, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say portfolios were envious to everybody. These are big to us in those moments. And I've been blown away with the ability that you've had to be able to grow in the way that you had. So I want to take some of the viewership down that pathway because it takes a village.
Sure.
It absolutely isn't a one-man show over at Lionheart.
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Definitely not. There's somebody behind the scenes who really does, I don't want to say does everything, but is the driving force behind a lot of things. So, I'll take it back to before real estate here. So in 2015, I was coaching collegiate basketball out west. And I was about 15 years into a coaching career via assistants, moving on to 7 years as a head coach, and quite successful on the court. Had a great graduation rate with my players because I demanded a lot from them. However, I wasn't always liked by administrations because I had the American mentality because I spent a lot of time down in the U.S., and I was a bit old school coach. My dad was a university coach, so inherited a lot of loud yelling techniques, which my players it never bothered my players, but it bothered onlookers sometimes, and it bothered administrations. So 2015, I had a falling out with an administration over some life situations, and I was beat up mentally from always trying to keep everybody happy, and was in a dark place when I decided to leave Alberta. If it wasn't for my parents, I would have legitimately been homeless. So, kudos to them, and I'm sure I would do that for my kids, and a lot of parents would, but some parents wouldn't. Like, they were like, "You screwed this up. You're on your own. Figure it out."
Yep.
So I'm very fortunate, and I'm sure my dad was probably like, he's got to figure it out. But my mom, being the beautiful soul that she is, was like, "No, we'll take him in," as she does as she would have done with any of her kids. So I was in a really interesting place. It was, I don't want to say it was a depressive state, but it was a situation where I was blaming other people for things that happened to me that I did, right? That was direct result of my personality and the way that I approached things. So then early 2016, I met my wife, my now wife. Um, and she literally grew flowers in the darkest parts of me and really helped me kind of grow and change into the man I am today. And, I have an addictive personality. So it wasn't like I was addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything like that, but I was addicted to TV shows. I was addicted to video games at a point. I was addicted to just really not caring about, like I never knew wealth, right? I never was exposed to it. I mean, in certain areas of my life I was, but I never thought it was attainable. And I never thought that I could change my stars, as you want to put it, back in, medieval times. You can't change your star. You're born this is what you are. Mm-hmm. So I was born a coach through and through, right? So I always thought that I was going to be coaching college basketball, making $60,000 to $100,000 a year eventually, having a nice life, right? Well, I didn't. After I was kind of moving forward with that, I didn't want that.
Right.
So we're driving along. I've always known the power of real estate. Being involved in institutions, you see how much student rentals make. I saw how much my guys were paying in rent, versus they were renting from my assistant coach at a time. And I saw what he was making. So I was like, okay, why can't I do this? So that was always in the back of my mind. And we're driving through, we heard something on the radio. I'm like, oh, we should maybe go to this. It was in Hamilton. So we went to it. It was a convention center. It was just a 2-hour show. We got there. I thought it was a network marketing thing. I'm like, let's get out of here. My wife said, no, sit your ass down. We're going to listen to this. Went to a 3-day course. From there, we joined a group that we really met some fantastic people, learned the power of leverage, and then our real estate journey took off. So from there, we bought a turnkey duplex. I say turnkey because nothing's ever turnkey.
Never.
And that's really how we got our feet wet, right? Was by learning. And then I really started to grasp construction when we purchased a conversion. And my buddy, who in my previous sales job, he was a GC by trade, so he was going to help me do this. And then he just ghosted me. It's like, this is fantastic.
Just the best.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting married in a couple of months and we go to this project and
so see ya.
See ya, right? So I learned everything self-taught, YouTube, how to do a lot of things, and made a ton of mistakes, but you work through it. And from there, we just kind of progressed, built our portfolio to triplexes, fourplexes, fiveplexes. And then we realized that being a landlord wasn't really for us.
So take me back a minute. You mentioned something when you were back in Alberta,
Mm-hmm.
right? You'd never been exposed to wealth in that way.
That's right.
Right. When do you think the first time that was it the 2-hour seminar, the old MLM, we're going to sell you something today? Or when was the first time that you had sort of that aha moment that, like, not only is this attainable, but like we can do it and we can do it well?
Yeah. So I think I always felt that I was meant to do something big. I know that sounds so cliche because
I have the same feeling. I honestly, it's something that's ingrained in you.
That's
like,
right.
I can do more. I'm better than
That's right.
this, and I know that I can do it.
And I was getting that from coaching because I was helping turn boys into men. And when I'd sit down with a family and ask them to come play for me, I never guaranteed playing time. I never guaranteed anything. But I told parents and I told kids that when you come through my doors, you're going to come in as one thing. And when you leave, you're going to leave as a man. And that was my biggest thing. So when coaching left, there was a major void. And my wife helped fill that void. And I was like, okay, now it's not like I could live in a basement apartment. I could drive a 1981 Ford truck that I was driving out west because I didn't have any money, right? So I was like, but now I saw a future. And I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And she really kind of helped kind of pave things through. She saw me in a sales job that I hated. So it was really her that instilled that take your lessons from coaching and apply it to something that you're passionate about. And I couldn't find anything that I was passionate about until I went to real estate. And I think I've always been ultra competitive. I'm a middle child, so call it what you will, call it middle child syndrome, whatever. I always wanted to be better than my brother, and sure shit want to be better than my younger brother, right? So I always had to kind of work hard. And my older brother was a fantastic basketball player. He played professionally, he coaches professionally now. He's had a great career in basketball. I was never that good. I could hold my own, I could shoot the ball, but I always had to work. And I didn't have the work ethic that he had in basketball. So then I left my sales job and joined the Keyspire team, right? And that's where I met you and a couple of other people that I was really like, okay, these are people I can align myself with. And I love you guys, but I want it to be better than all you guys.
I think that that's true of anybody that
That's
worked
right.
there. And maybe that's a sports mentality. Maybe it's a little bit of, I don't know, drive,
Yeah.
right? That some people have that others don't. But I always appreciated that about what our team back then was, because I actually like a sports guy too. I played hockey, not basketball, all the things, but that's what I always loved about being around those guys. Not only did we get to sit around and learn from one another 4 days of the week, like we'd fly to Vancouver.
Yeah.
What do you think we're talking about? No, nobody's sitting there watching Cocaine Bear on the plane, right?
No.
Which is a message I got from my wife recently.
You're really
either
sleeping.
right? Sleeping, or we're talking about the next mechanism
That's
to
right.
pull upon for your portfolio.
Yeah.
And I think what I want all of our viewership to take away, because we have a huge viewership on the real estate side of these things, the real estate professionals,
Yeah.
is that there's a grind on both sides of what this transaction is.
Totally.
It isn't easy to be a realtor in this particular moment. It isn't easy to be a mortgage broker. The media doesn't help in any real way. These things can be disastrous. And when you have the wrong mindset about it, or you don't have a team put in place to be able to help you to get over that next little hurdle, it can be an awful place to be.
It's funny you say that, because yesterday I had a bout of imposter syndrome in the morning. My wife had an appointment, so I was home with the kids. So I was trying. Our one son was home from daycare because he goes to daycare, is sick, goes to daycare sick, right? So anyways, I'm watching the kids for a couple hours while she had to go to an appointment. And the one is sleeping and the other one is just playing with his toys, which was great. I was able to kind of get a couple things done, but I sat there and I looked at it, looked at my family, looked at where we are, and I was like, okay, what the hell? How did I get here? What am I doing? What happens if I, screw up and do these things? So, and I think that's a natural feeling. And I think that you have to have that feeling, because I always say that you can't be afraid of failure, but you have to be afraid to fail.
So well said.
Right? And people you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, no, it does. So you can't be afraid to fail, because there's no such thing as a failure. You have to learn from your mistakes, but you have to make mistakes in order to do so. But you have to make calculated mistakes. You can't be afraid to make those mistakes, or you're going to have analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis. Sorry. You're going to have that. So, I've always been the one, my wife likes to call it, I've always been the dreamer. She's been the grounder, right?
Oh my God. It's the same at our house. Laura.
Yeah.
Right. It's engineer mindset. If the numbers don't make sense, if we're a decimal place off, right, nothing is going to happen. And I love and appreciate that about it, because I would have gotten all of those numbers wrong and then just push forward anyways. Right.
Right.
But you're so correct in this. It's when there's a gas and a brakes to these things, it's the mistakes become less and less and less, but you're still making them.
Yeah. If you think you're going to enter a project and not make a mistake, you're crazy.
Yes.
You're crazy. And, we were walking the dogs last night, and we were talking about how nothing ever works out how we plan, which is fine as long as it works out.
Okay? And yet here we are. I say that to Laura all the time.
That's right.
And yet here we are.
Yeah. Like I look at, in January of 2016, I had nothing. I lived in my parents' basement at 35 years old, turning 36, didn't have a girlfriend, didn't have a car, couldn't afford a car. I had to borrow my parents' vehicle to get to a job that was an hour away, just so I can have something while I looked for something else. And to where I am today, and it's just like, it only happened in 7 years, right? And it's the mentality that I've had throughout my whole career, my whole life. It's that you wake up, you go to work, you do things. I don't look back. Sometimes you have to look back, but what happened yesterday doesn't affect today, because you know what? Today's a new day.
Mhm.
As I said to you this morning,
Yeah.
I left the gym. I came here early to beat traffic, so I worked out in Toronto. Left the gym, and I saw a bunch of guys walking. They just looked like misery. And I'm like, it's 30 degrees out at 9 a.m. in
In
October.
October.
So, and you're like, if you don't like your situation, change it. And I think that needs to be said. For a lot of people, it's woe is me.
Mhm.
And in Canada, we're taught that get a good job, go to university. First of all, I should have never went to university. I'm not a university guy, but go to university, get a degree, get a job, get a house, get married, have kids, pay off your house, retire at 70.
Yeah. Sell your home.
Sell your home.
Live on the proceeds of that.
That's
Hope
right.
your kids can take care of you.
That's right.
When you're 85 because you run out of money. All the
That's
little
right.
things. Yeah.
And I always say, I recently joined a group down in the US in last May, actually, that has really changed my mindset on a lot of different things. And it's really helped me scale my business mentally. Not so much from an actual investment standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, getting into a different room really helped me.
That's so interesting. So take me down this path.
Okay.
Because what I find, I work with our realtors at the REC Canada team every day, all day long. It's my lot in life is what I joke about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I love it because I believe that they have an immense amount of freedom and all of the tools to be successful
Mm-hmm.
and everything that they could ever want from a team. When I go audit other teams, which is a part of what I do,
Yeah.
right? I try to take the best of and then distill it down to where can we add this for the REC Canada team. But half of those tools never get used.
Mm-hmm.
Half of them are sitting under dust in my office because we can't seem to implement them or nobody wants to deploy them.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if it isn't a mindset scenario to say, if I was to use this thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is a tool in my tool belt and I'm going to understand how to use it better to grow my business.
Totally. It's you can bring a camel to water, but you can't force him to drink.
And I love that saying, but I'm not sure that that's quite what it is. Like, I don't mean to disparage anybody. I just think that, like, especially on the realtor side, a mortgage broker side has to be a disaster right now. I'm not one. I can't speak to being one.
No, but it's not going to be fun for the next 2 years.
But here's a buffet and you get to eat what you want. And the mindset becomes, I might just starve instead.
Yeah. So everybody wants to talk about being a beast,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody wants to talk about being a beast, but what is a beast? I can tell you right now, until you have this mindset, you will not be successful as your own, because a realtor is their own business. Like, you are responsible for you. Nobody else is. You can have a team lead, but you're responsible for you. So what you put in is what you get out, right? And everybody's, oh, I'm a beast. I go to the gym at 5 a.m. or I work out 5 days, 6 days a week, and I eat healthy. That's good for you. But what a true beast is somebody that has hit rock bottom and is excited to hit rock bottom because there's nowhere to go but up. And he's grateful for that feeling. And that was me, right? It took me 6 years to figure that out. But that is what a beast is to me. And you have to find that in you. So, like, when I talk about mindsets and you talk about different things and having opportunities for tools, I didn't get the tools in my tool belt. I thought I did until I went to a different room. Mm. And I think that, everybody goes to these free real estate meetups. Mm-hmm. They're a joke. I'm sorry to say that. For anybody who runs them, I respect you for taking the time out of your day to organize this, and I commend you for that. But in all honesty, it's all people trying to find money in these rooms. I go to some of these things, all I do is coach, and I don't want to do that for free, right? Like, you have to, like, some of what you've gone through, your pain and reflection equal progress, hands down, right? But that's your pain. That's not somebody else's pain. So you trying to tell people how to use that or do that is like beating your head against a brick wall. It's just not going to resonate. So I went to this conference down in Miami. It had nothing, there was a huge real estate component to it, but it was more on the financial side of things. And it was like, I need to know, for my business, I need to know how these inner finances work, because I always partnered with finance guys, right? And I said, you guys take care of the financing. I don't want to deal with it. Let's just roll, right? I'll take care of the other side. You take care. But you know, as a good coach, you got to know how to run your defense as well as your offense.
Yes.
Right. So I need to learn this stuff. So one of the things that I went down there, and the speakers that were there were unbelievable. They weren't like, there was finance speakers and then there was speakers. So a couple in particular I really resonated with. And I sent my wife some questions. Like, I want you to answer these for me, right? Because we are a partnership. What kind of man do you want me to be? What kind of man do you see me as right now? And what kind of father do you want me to be? Just answer those for me.
So crazy interesting has nothing to do with business. Nothing to do with the financial side of the business.
No.
Nothing about the growth that you've seen over the last, 8 years, 7 years in business.
Yeah.
But you as a person.
That's right. So my journey as a person, I feel like through Key Spire and the friendships I made, it kind of hit a wall, right? Especially once COVID hit, because we weren't together every weekend.
Exactly.
And we've all talked about how that drove us. So like when one of our colleagues got a project,
I had to get 2 more.
Exactly. But we lost that. Sure, we talked on the phone, but everybody got busy and we went, all this. Anyways, so I got down this room and to this conference. And one of the things that I really took out of that is you got to pay to get into rooms. It's that simple. And when I want to go to a mastermind, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room.
I couldn't agree more.
I don't want to do a mastermind where I could just pick up the phone and call my friends who were my friends before a mastermind. And I'm happy for everybody's success, but that's not what I want. I want to, in order for me to level up, I need to be with people who are better than me. It's that simple. So I got into this room. One of the things that I changed in my life when I came back was I didn't understand until I went down to this conference how much I always tried to get up early and get things done. It didn't work for me. I couldn't do it. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, 3-year-old and 1-year-old now. So in last May, it was, 8-month-old or 6-month-old, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And time was like, you're dead at the end of the day. Right. So I flipped on Netflix. My wife and I would binge watch. We weren't talking because we were just watching a show mindlessly because we didn't want to touch each other because we had kids crawling all over us. So we just kind of disconnected ourselves. And I said, when I came back from this conference, after listening to these guys speak, and it had nothing to do with business, it had everything to do with life and mindset, I said, no more TV during the week. Just won't do it. Right? Stop it. Read a book, or don't read a book. Talk to your wife.
Yeah. Talk
to your partner. So, I mean, there's times where I'm like, I just want to just watch one episode, clear my mind, and it's every once in a while, I'm not going to lie, I'll throw, when I stretch, because my old body is not what it used to be. So I'll throw something on for half an hour when I stretch at night when nobody else is around. My wife has not gone to bed. But if I don't go to bed before 10 o'clock, my next day is not productive.
Oh,
right. And it's funny. I got a FaceTime call last night from a really good friend at like 9:45. Well, I was in bed. I didn't answer it. I'm like, I'm doing my bedtime routine.
Yeah.
So, everybody wants to post videos of them working out in the morning and this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Just work out. Stop posting videos about it. Stop posting videos about everything. If you're not giving value to your constituents, stop doing it.
Simeon and I have talked about that particular thing a ton lately. It's a difficult world out there right now to sell a product like what we've chosen to sell. And what does somebody do? Who are they speaking to when they do these things? It's they do a quick dance, they put on a catchy song, and they talk to their ideal client who doesn't actually exist in the market in the moment. A first-time home buyer with 20% down and all of this bullshit that like you're just looking at, like, who are you really speaking to?
Yeah. Did
Did you just turn off the 99% of your entire database because of the shit that you just posted?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah.
The mindset around the whole thing is to find what works for you.
Exactly.
It is to change your situation because you have the capability to do so. You're a single agent struggling. The REC team has wide open arms, as an example. And there are a million teams that you could be doing this with.
Totally.
You don't like your team structure? or the fees that you pay in order to be on a team such as ours.
Mhm.
What did you say earlier? You pay to be in the right room.
That's right.
That's the entire reason that we would charge the fees that we do.
That's right.
Think about it logically. Change your mindset about what it is, and you'll flourish because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to 2018. You guys decide to turn on Lionheart Developments.
So Lionheart Development started out as A Game Investments,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Lionheart Development really, we rebranded last year into Lionheart Development, but A Game Investments was moving forward. My brother had started a training agency called A Game Hoops, and I kind of just, and I worked with him on that and everything. So we kind of just took that. I'm like, I want to bring my A game to everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great name, A Game Investments. Let's do that. So that's what we did. And then we felt as we started to get into bigger deals that was a little bit Mickey Mouse. And it was great for us when we were doing, working with the smaller clients where we needed to raise a couple $100,000 for a project. It was cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now we're got a couple $1 million. We needed to have a stronger brand, and Lionheart Development really rose from the characteristics that I took from coaching and the characteristics I take from being a father. And realistically, it was what I want to embody as a person, integrity, courage, doing everything with your heart, being, the lion's the king of the jungle. Well, the lion doesn't really live in a jungle, but it's different. It's just a saying.
Semantics.
Semantics,
Sure.
right? So we wanted to be that, fierce when we need to be fierce, compassionate when we need to be compassionate,
Mm-hmm.
but really the mentality of the lion always is kind of in the forefront of what I've always done. There's been two animals that I've always kind of gravitated towards, and one is the wolf, because as a team, you're in a wolf pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I have a team, but they're a really small team. It's myself, my wife, and we hired another guy who's a former player of mine, who 23-year-old, we're molding him into a developer, essentially. But the Lionheart Development really now operates 3 major developments and looking to close on a 4th down in Florida with a team down in Florida next week, actually. So
when you're working with a team like that, you mentioned
Mhm.
the team down in Florida, there's due diligence that's involved with this type of thing, right? What are you searching for when you do this? Like, we've talked just about nonstop about the mindset and getting those things right, becoming a better person to become the person that you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things. When you're looking for a team to work with, is it that characteristic first? Is it their knowledge base second? Walk me through the things that go through your mind when you want to work with a team like that.
I took 3 different programs to the top 10 nationally. All 3 programs I coached, eventually at one point we were top 10 nationally. Not because I had the best players, but because I had the right players. And when I look for my team, it's the same type of characteristics. It's integrity, the knowledge. I think for most of these people you're interviewing, or like the construction management team, the architects, the knowledge is all relatively there, because you're not like I always said when I was recruiting a kid, I knew he could play basketball, but when I would go recruit him, I'd look at the intangibles. Does he dive on the floor? Does he, what happens when there's a bad call? How does he react? When the coach pulls him off, how does he react? So it's those things that I look for when I interview potential team members and bring them onto my team. And that's why I'm so confident with some of these developments that we're doing, because of my team. So when we hire a company like Wilkinson Construction to manage our developments, that wasn't an easy decision to do. It was the course over several interviews. It was a course over several reference checks with other people, colleagues in the workspace. They're very prevalent in the mid-rise range. I don't want a high-rise developer working on an 8-story building. Why? Because it's not important to them.
It's the same analogy. I don't want a commercial leasing specialist finding me my primary residence.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. And I think if we distill down what you're talking about, it's everybody has the book.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can find the right article to read.
That's right.
It's what do they do with it that
Totally
matters the most.
So when I find my team, that's my team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go elsewhere. And my architects and my planners, they know that. So I can call my planner and say, what can we get on this site? and he'll give me a quick high level. Is it going to be easy to get approved, or is it going to be difficult to get approved? It doesn't charge me, right? Because he knows that if we go through with that, he's getting the business. And I think that that's built through relationships. So one of the things that we differentiate in our marketplace with our condo developments is expandable living system. So people are like, well, what is that? I mean, it's basically we take a 350,000 square foot 350
Square foot
apartment,
tiny
or condo, tiny, and we make it into a 700 square foot without adding floor space. How does that work? Well, your bed goes up, and now you have an entertainment area, a living room, right? So now you have a living room. Your bed comes down. Now you have a bedroom.
When you showed me this, I had seen it once. I think it was like on TikTok, and it was the most incredible thing that I thought I had ever seen, like the future of potential living.
Yep.
And the deployment of these things in huge cities, Tokyo, New York. I was blown away to know that this is where we find ourselves in the Canadian marketplace as expandable living spaces to be able to bring things back to an affordable sense.
That's right.
I was blown away. Please continue.
So it has an entertainment center that on a press of a button opens up to a home office. So now a 25-year-old out of university can get into the marketplace. Affordability. We're not talking about affordable housing or government subsidized housing. We're talking about affordability in the marketplace, which I think is the missed gap that we never talk about. Everybody's like, we need more affordable housing. What's affordable housing?
That's so relative to the individual involved.
Exactly. Right. So affordable housing in Toronto is a lot different than affordable housing in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody wants to talk about this. Well, it's affordability in a marketplace. You make one, it's a ripple effect. So as soon as you create housing at any level, you create more housing. Right. So I get somebody into the marketplace, in 5 years, they're going to level up. And vice versa, right? And they leave a rental, they open up a rental space, right? So if you create a luxurious, this is why I never begrudge anybody who builds a luxury home. You build a luxury home, nobody's buying that as a first-time home buyer, right?
Yep.
They're going up, and then so now they create a whole step that everybody now levels up. And that is how housing is created. So it doesn't matter where you create housing, what market you create housing in, as long as you create doors, you're going to be successful. We struggle in Canada because we're mandated in order to drop housing prices to everybody. There's a number out there. We all know what that number is. But if you break it down, it's actually 1,600 homes a day for the next 6 years.
Jeez.
And when you I think we all get desensitized by numbers. So we got to build 3.5 million across the nation. That's easy to do. No, when you break it down, that's 1,600 homes a day. That means somebody is opening a door to walk into 1,600 homes a day in order for us to make a dent in this affordable housing crisis, right? Like the affordability. So we're trying to do our part. Lionheart Development is like, what can we do? So what we've done is we've purchased a 91 site plan approved unit. We've now increased by 41 units. We have 132 units by using this expandable living system, we redesigned the whole interior building. Cost us about 6 months on the design side, but it needed to be done. On the other development, we went from 111 to 145. By redesigning the interior of the building, not the exterior footprint, but the interior building, in order to incorporate these systems now and allow people to enter this marketplace. And we really want to use this system on transit lines. And I think
love that.
Our mantra is we want to create housing that somebody's proud of, and that if I have to choose between a vehicle to get to work and a home, I want them to be able to choose the home, because homes are depreciating assets as well. The land appreciates, the home depreciates, but a car is the worst investment that anybody can make.
Yeah.
I want people to be able to invest and better their lives, because I was never taught these things, right? And it's not my parents' fault for not teaching us. It's just, my generation was different, right? The baby boomers, we're the tail end of that.
We had different focuses. We
Exactly.
had these amazing parents that my parents came to this country. My dad came to this country young, right? Grew up in Canada. My mom is Canadian. They allowed us to focus on becoming the best hockey goaltender
That's right.
that I could be, or the best power forward.
That's why you're a weird
Yeah,
dude, because you
I
were a
was a
goaltender.
goalie. Oh my God, it's so weird. But like we just didn't have those focuses.
That's right.
But my immigrant grandfather
Totally did.
1000% did. How do I better my life in these ways? What can I learn to do that?
That's right.
So like I appreciate exactly what you're saying, because it's an opportunity to get into the marketplace. And if that's what Lionheart Development is going to focus upon, it creates another step to this entire thing.
That's right. And that's our mantra, right? I thought that's our investment thesis, is to create affordability in the marketplace that somebody can be proud of. That's it. It's a very simple thesis, and it works, and that's what we build our company off of, and that's what we go after our developments. We will not touch a development that doesn't give the opportunity for that. So we have a potential, one of our properties is 100 townhomes.
Mm-hmm.
In those townhomes, we will create in one of the bedrooms the Ori system. The system is called the Ori Living System. It will be a bed with a desk underneath. So now in your second or third bedroom, you have an actual office. I think if you do not have space for an office in your home, you're missing a huge market pool.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people now can work 1 day, 2 days from home, unless your job is an active job, a nurse, teacher, whatever. But if you're in business, if you're in sales, you generally have the opportunity to do 2 or 3 days a week from home.
And having a space at home to be able to do that in the most functionally successful, the most functionally perfect way for you will allow you to be the best possible version of yourself.
Exactly. So that's what we're about.
I love it.
And that's what we're trying to attract, like-minded investors who want to get involved in the LP side of these projects. There's lots of room in some of them. And at the end of the day, I want an investor who said, I'm helping with affordability in our country. And I don't just want to listen, at the end of the day, we also going to give you a 16 to 18% return on your money.
We can be as altruistic as we want to be. We're in it to make money as
Exactly. Right.
And I mean, we have no problem saying that, because it's the truth.
Exactly.
And that's what transparency actually is in this business. Benny, give me 3 things, okay? Whether it's one for the investor, one for the real estate professional, but 3 things about what we talked about today that people could use as their playbook. It's Broker's Playbook for a reason. Give somebody a playbook.
Find a nighttime routine that flows into the most productive day possible. I can't stress that enough. Don't fall upon, I have to get up and go to the gym. I got to get up and write in a journal. I got to be mindfulness. Don't fall into that trap. Find something that works for you, that you can be better than you were yesterday. That's the most important thing. Can I be better than I was yesterday? So that's number 1.
Number 2 is,
don't care what others think. It's hard in today's world to, like we've talked about social media, all these things. Don't care what others think, because at the end of the day, they don't care about you. There's no loyalty.
They think about you far less than you think that they think about you.
You are the only person that matter. And that tandem goes along with your why. Have a why, and the proverbial why, I want to do it for my kids. No, you don't. You don't. Your kids love you no matter what. If you live in a trailer, they're going to love you. You're their parents. Screw that. Find a why that is dark, deep, that gives you the discipline, not the motivation. And that's my 3rd, the discipline. You can be as motivated as you want. You can listen to all these speakers. You can read all these books. But what is intrinsic is the discipline. And if you can't have that discipline, it doesn't matter what line of work you're going into, you're going to be okay with mediocrity. And discipline is excellence. And in order to have that, you cannot be okay with being mediocre. You have to strive for success, and not yes, you got to celebrate some small wins, because they don't come a lot of time, especially right now, but you have to have the discipline to go to bed early, right? So that you can be productive the next day. And that's why it's my 3rd. Discipline is the most important thing. If you don't have it, doesn't matter what you do, your motivation will dip. Your discipline is to do things that you don't like to do and pretend that you like them.
Yeah. Regardless of whether you like them or not.
That's it.
Ben, I truly believe that the best things in life are the simplest. So often what we do to ourselves is overcomplicate everything. But simplicity doesn't mean easy.
No.
Right? Real estate investing or real estate development or real estate professionalism, working on the real estate side of things, is simple. It's just not easy. And when you can do what you just told people to do, when you can do that for yourself, you will be better for it.
Absolutely.
My man, thank you so much.
Thanks
I feel like we could do this all day long, but we're probably 3 hours into this episode at this point.
Yeah, we are.
My man, thank you so much for joining the Brokers Playbook podcast.
Appreciate you.
We're going to put this out to Investors Playbook as well, because I just love the message so much. So thank you once again from everybody here at Brokers Playbook. It's so good to have you on, my man.
Thanks for having me. I can't thank you enough.